SportsBeat is brought to you by Ken Garth. We hear you.
The dagger possibly.
Oh, hammer home. Oh, that explodes on top of the rim.
Donovan, Moody on the breakaway.
Oh, that's English.
Who is it? What's the deal? How about it?
Got it tough. Gobert with the follow.
Yes, the streak rolls on. Thanks for staying up with us. Jeremiah Jensen and Sam Farnsworth with you for the next 45 minutes. We got so much to give you. Comeback's the theme tonight on SportsBeat. We have a Final Four in the NFL playoffs, but of course we're going to start with the red-hot Utah Jazz.
Yeah, the hottest team in basketball. After sweeping a pair of games at Vivint, the Jazz take the win streak back on the road for the next three, starting this afternoon against the Washington Wizards.
You know, the Jazz have the best home court record in the Western Conference, which is interesting, but they've also been very good away from home recently, having won 4 in a row on the road.
Yeah, and for the first time this season, the Jazz put a lineup on the court without Donovan Mitchell in uniform. While the Jazz work on beating the Wizards, Donovan working on beating a virus.
And that is not easy. With Donovan Mitchell out, Quinn Snyder decided to give Emmanuel Mudiay the start. Mudiay has been a pleasant surprise this season, getting better and better under the direction of this coaching staff. He's been great off the bench, and he is great as a starter as well. He came out hot in the first quarter for the game. He was 6 of 10 from the field, 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists.
You know, when you need a scorer, the Jazz know they can find one in Bojan Bogdanovic. And today he did a lot to fill the scoring void left on the bench with Donovan, especially in the first half. Bogdanovic scored 22 of his game-high 31 points in the first half. He hit 9 of 14 shots. Just one of those was a three-pointer. It's the 8th 30-point game this season for Bogey.
Despite the hot shooting of Bogey, the Jazz found themselves down by as much as 15 in the first half. The defense, not good. They allowed 66 first-half points. The Wizards shot a scorching 61% from the field, 50% from three. Bradley Beal, just back from injury, finished the game with 25 points to lead the Wizards.
The Jazz trailed by as many as 15 points twice in this game, once in the second, again in the third. The second time was enough, though. The Jazz went on a tear. Royce O'Neal started off with that three-pointer. Then Joe Ingles. He knocks one down as well. Mudiay added an old-fashioned three-pointer with the bucket and the foul. And Rudy turned on his dominance with the monster putback slam to cap the 15-0 Jazz run that tied the game up. That ties for the largest deficit the Jazz have erased in a game this season en route to the win.
I think nobody came in here was like, oh man, we gotta, we're gonna lose this one. I think everybody stayed poised, and we offensively we actually wasn't playing horrible. It's just defense. We kind of needed to get that back in the game.
Kind of guard difference, pick and roll. We let Rudy to switch on their guys. They hit a lot of mid-range jumpers in the first half, and then with the Rudy presence in the second half was huge for us.
Maybe it was a 3 o'clock game. Maybe coming out west, but we're not gonna try to use no excuses.
The Jordan Clarkson trade looks better and better each game. He's completely transformed the Jazz bench. Electric, a shot of energy, swagger. He brings it. After a quiet first half, he led the charge in the second half offensively. 23 points on 10 of 22 shooting. 17 of those points came in the second half.
Jordan was big. We knew we had to play together to make up for his absence tonight. But I think a lot of people stepped up. Bojan had a good first half for us to stay in the game, but we won it with defense.
Jordan attacked the rim in the second half. He's one of the guys where they're going under screens, and he's been so conscious of attacking the rim and playing the right way, and he's getting his teammates involved.
Hey, All-Star voters, take note of what Rudy Gobert's doing this season, especially during this win streak. Gobert's the only player in the NBA averaging a point rebound double-double this season, while also shooting greater than 65% from the field. With 21 points and 14 rebounds today, Gobert records his 28th double-double through 37 games played this season.
All right, the Jazz led by as much as 11 in the fourth. Joe Ingles had 20 points, 4 of 8 from 3. This one gave the Jazz an 8-point lead with 2 minutes left. But the Wizards would not go away. Davis Bertans had 18 off the bench, 4 of 7 from 3, up 5. Bogey misses badly, but guess who's there with the offensive rebound and put back Rudy. Again, the Wizards keeping Jazz fans nervous. You can't lose track of Bradley Beal. That lead is back down to 5. Finally, the Jazz finish this game off. First, Joe Ingles, a brilliant inbounds pass to Jordan Clarkson. Then Royce O'Neal with the dagger. The Jazz score 72 points in the second half. At 27-12, they move into a second-place tie temporarily in the Western Conference. Hopefully, Emmanuel Mudiay found someone to give him a high five.
This is a tough game. You know, it's your first game on an East Coast road trip. You know, it's a matinee game.
You know, this is the first game on the road trip, especially coming out from the West. But at the same time, we knew they got players over there too. Ish been playing really, really good. You know, and Brad came back, so we knew we had to come with our A game.
SportsBeat is brought to you by Ken Garth. We hear you.
Well, back in November, the Brooklyn Nets were in town, a game they actually led over the Jazz with 3.5 minutes to go. The Jazz turned it around. Of course, they got the win. Well, on Tuesday, those two teams will meet up again in the second of the three Jazz road games. The Nets, though, are 2 games under 500, still in the 7th spot in the East. And today they played the worst team in basketball, the Atlanta Hawks. Kyrie Irving's been out for 2 months. He made his return today, and he was knocking down just about everything. Getting into the lane, hitting outside shots. He scored 21 points in just 20 minutes, played and missed just 1 shot of his 11 taken. DeAndre Jordan, he came in off the bench, played big. 13 points, 8 rebounds. The Nets crushed the Hawks 108-86.
Which team would keep pace with the Jazz in the standings, the Clippers or Nuggets? The Clippers turn it over. Gary Harris takes it to the rack. The 3-point play gave the Nuggets a 13-point lead. The lead grows in the third. Nikola Jokic, 20 points, 15 rebounds. The Nuggets up 18 over the Clippers. We had drama in the fourth. Clippers closed the gap, but Patrick Beverley called for a foul. What's he doing here? He fouls out, and Doc Rivers loses it, yelling at the refs. He's ejected. The Nuggets hold on for the win despite 30 from Kawhi Leonard. So after the Nuggets win, here's the current Western Conference standings. The Jazz have climbed all the way up to 3rd during this streak, tied at 27-12 with the Nuggets, who are technically 2nd due to a better division record.
They still play each other coming up several times. All right, if the playoffs started today, the Memphis Grizzlies would be the 8th seed in the West. They're 4 games under 500, though, and you know they're the 3rd hottest team in the West, believe it or not, making monster plays like the Jaren Jackson dunk and Jonas Valanciunas. Big night for him, 31 points for the Grizz. Memphis hands Golden State their 32nd loss of the season, 122-102.
And we all win because we get to see those Grizzlies retro jerseys. The Knicks are doing things they shouldn't be doing. And we're not going to show you that game, but we're going to show you this instead. The Spurs were down big to the Raptors. DeMar DeRozan says, good luck blocking that shot. LaMarcus Aldridge gave the Spurs the lead in the fourth quarter. They were down 17. And then, Marco Bellinelli seals the deal. The Spurs beat the Raptors.
How about those Knicks? You know, they were in Miami hosting, they were hosting the Heat, I should say. Goran Dragic, a terrible pass there. Damian Dotson gets blocked, but look at Kevin Knox on cleanup duty. Knicks down by 2. The Heat had a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter. In the fourth, Reggie Bullock cuts it to 1. Then Julius Randle from downtown. The Knicks have the lead. What's going on? Final seconds. Jimmy Butler draws the foul. If he can make all 3 free throws, they tie it. But he misses one, of course. And the Knicks, for the 11th time this season, get a win.
Well, it was another impressive week by the Utah Jazz, taking care of business at home and on the road, beating teams they should beat, which isn't always easy.
Yeah, this week for Jazz Rewind, we look back at some of the things that stood out in the 4 wins over the Pelicans, Knicks, Hornets, and Wizards.
Lillard will drive and shoot, rejected by Gobert.
This is an interesting stat that indicates just how good the Jazz are this season. They're winning close games, better than any other team in the NBA. Clutch games are defined as NBA games where the margin is 5 or fewer points with 5 minutes left to go or less. With Sunday's win over the Wizards, they're now 18-6 in those games. That's the best mark in the NBA. Last year, the Jazz were 15-18 in clutch games, a complete turnaround.
Third game of a road trip, we're going to be a little tired, but for us to be able to persevere the way we did and show resiliency shows the improvements we have made. You know, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, who knows, what happens. I think the Laker game at home was really a low point for us, one of the lowest points, and obviously the East Coast road trip. So be able to be where we are now after remembering that, I think that's still fresh in our mind, and we should always keep that mentality that we don't want to go back to that.
How about Bojan Bogdanovic? He had the scoring touch.
Joel, off the bogey, feeling it inside, outside. Absolutely.
There we go. Bojan Bogdanovic, the scoring touch against the Pelicans, a season-high 35 points. That's about it because he had 0 rebounds and 0 assists, and he was the butt of jokes in the locker room. So after he had 3 boards and 3 assists in the Jazz next game against the Knicks, he let his teammates have it.
See, they were making fun of me last 2 days, but I triple my numbers tonight, so I'm good. I'm good.
Nice pass down low. Ingles as a magician inside to Clarkson. Team back out wide open. George Niang fires and hits it home. Oh, Jazz are just ripping the nets early in the quarter.
One reason why the Jazz have won 9 straight games, they now have a very productive bench. Jordan Clarkson has been a huge addition, averaging 15 points per game. The Jazz are 9-0 since his addition. Emmanuel Mudiay has been outstanding. He's averaging 15 in his last 3 games. And then there is the minivan, George Niang. He's shooting 49% from 3 in his last 10 games. He scored in double figures in 4 games during this win streak and has earned himself a nickname.
The minivan is moving right now. He is the minivan. You talking about our minivan? It's the best shooter I've probably ever seen, man. Right now, he said he playing like a Tesla, so I don't even know if that's a minivan anymore.
Clarkson dump it inside, and Gobert with a 2-hander.
Once again, can anyone tell me why Rudy Gobert is not getting more love in the All-Star voting? I know, he plays for the small market Jazz, right? But seriously, he's on track to make history this season, becoming the 2nd player ever and first since Artis Gilmore in 1982 to average more than 15 points, shoot 65%, and average 10-plus boards and 2-plus blocks per game. Coach Snyder says you have to look beyond the highlights to see his real value.
So his playmaking ability out on the floor, just, it doesn't have, it's not playmaking in the way that, Donovan would make a play, but it's equally effective when he's precise. And to be precise, that's simple, fundamental things that you have to work on and repeat, and then they become habits. And a lot of times guys don't want to work on that stuff. It's not glamorous, to go out there and pivot and pass, but you see it show up in the game.
All right, now to college hoops. The Runnin' Utes have been a pleasant surprise this season. One of the youngest teams in college basketball has wins over Minnesota, BYU, and Kentucky. They hung with Oregon before coming up short last Saturday. But with a young team, they're going to have moments like they did today in Boulder. It's not always going to go well. Colorado gave the Baby Utes a spanking today. With 8:30 left in the first half, Colorado takes a 29-10 lead. Maddox Daniels made 2 threes off the bench. It was 44-22 at halftime. It got worse, much worse. The Buffs in transition, McKinley Wright to Tyler Bay. How did Colorado lose to Oregon State at home? Rylan Jones and his teammates will learn from this, but this is a tough way to learn a lesson. 91-52 was the final. Yes, a 39-point loss. The Utes now 10-5, 1-2 in conference. Next up, Arizona in Tucson, Thursday night.
Not getting any easier. Speaking of Arizona, they were hosting 24th. They were visiting Oregon State. Second half, Beavers starting to pull away. Trey Tinkle with the backdoor layup. He had 20. Then Ethan Thompson finds Kyler Kelly. He throws it down. Oregon State would roll from there, get the 17-point win.
Other top 25 games, 23rd ranked Wichita State needed double overtime to defeat UConn. Time was running out in regulation. Sidney Wilson in the corner. Clutch. He sends the game to overtime. It actually took 2 overtimes to decide a winner. Jamarius Burton gave the Shockers the cushion they needed. They hold on to get the win.
19th ranked Michigan on the road against Minnesota. Second half, Gophers up 2. They add to it. Look at this. Alley-oop. Daniel Oturu. 2 of his 30 points in the game, and here's 2 more. He's going to roll low to give his team the lead for good. Minnesota pulls away for the upset, 75-67.
Utah women hosting USC. Kendall Martin lays it in the third. USC would come back, but Denisha Provo from deep gets the lead back. And the Utes win this one. Their first Pac-12 win of the season, 67-65.
All right, well, what are the top 5 plays during the Jazz win streak? We'll count those down and hopefully get my words right as well. You can see if you disagree or agree coming up next.
During the Jazz 9-game win streak, Donovan Mitchell and Bojan Bogdanovic have combined for 5 30-point games. Rudy Gobert also has a double-doubles.
But we wanted to pick out some of the best individual moments over this stretch, so we've got our top 5 over this 9-game streak.
Boy, he draws a host of Hornets inside.
Rajon Tucker announced his NBA presence with authority against the Hornets with this hammer.
Lillard will drive and shoot, rejected by Gobert.
Two-time defensive.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert's a beast. He's only strengthened his case for a 3rd straight Defensive Player of the Year during the streak. He also has an undeniable case to be an all-star, in my opinion. And this block that got the streak started is number 4 on the list.
In front of Joe. Gobert switches inside. Hammer for Gobert. Two-handed it.
Rudy was huge down the stretch against the Bulls. No bigger offensive play than that pick-and-roll dunk from Joe Ingles with 1 minute to go.
Sure, that's a problem if your hands are too small, too.
Rudy again from Joe. Rattles the rim and the crowd comes.
Yeah, Joe and Rudy have that connection going on the offensive end for sure. That connection's so strong, Ingles didn't even have to look to find Gobert for this dunk on our number 2 play.
Ingles to Mitchell. Goes drive baseline. Oh, hammer home. Oh, Donovan explodes on top of the rim. Just a 35-point half. Oh, Donovan lights it up. Down the lane.
You knew we wouldn't have a top 5 without Donovan Mitchell. He gives us a twofer. 2 of the best dunks of the year on the road against the Clippers and at home against the Pistons. All right, now to college hoops. BYU's dealt with adversity this season, and specifically, Yoli Childs has experienced adversity. After the NCAA punished Yoli 9 games for choosing to come back to school, he now has to miss more games with a finger injury. Not sure how long he'll be out, but the Cougars fought like crazy without him this week. One player that stepped up this week, TJ Haws. In Saturday's 96-70 win over the Portland Pilots, TJ had 13 points and a career-high 14 assists, his first career double-double. Ball distribution, setting up his teammates. 5 of them scored in double figures, including Zach Celius and his mustache, who had 21 off the bench, a career high.
And tonight, for him to respond in the way we did, recognizing some of the ways we felt short at St. Mary's, and him addressing those issues is pretty spectacular. This young man, he is. He's a really special player, and he's obviously, trying to put the finishing touches in a spectacular way on a really special BYU career.
They gave it everything they had in Moraga late Thursday night. TJ Haws stepped up in a big way, 29 points, including a dunk that forced overtime. The Cougars came up short in OT, but they showed a lot in defeat.
Well, the Utah State Aggies got just what they needed last night at the Spectrum, a win. They beat Nevada 80-70 with 5 different players scoring in double figures to end a 3-game skid. Nemius Queta led the way with 19 points and 7 rebounds. Sam Merrill added a well-rounded effort, 12 points, 8 boards, 8 assists. Next up for the Aggies, Thursday night at Boise State.
See, they were making fun of me last 2 days, but I triple my numbers tonight, so I'm good. I'm good.
All right, back to the Jazz, and Joe Ingles teasing Bojan Bogdanovic after Wednesday's win shows just how much fun this team is having right now.
Yeah, Bojan getting grief for having 35 points but no boards and no assists in Monday's win over the Pelicans. It's the only time in Jazz history that it's happened. But in this week's archive, we look back at some Jazz players who came pretty close.
Starting with Donovan Mitchell on January 12, 2018 against the Hornets. He had 35 points, but he had 0 assists and 5 rebounds.
How about late March 2016? Rodney Hood had the hot hand against the Lakers. 30 points, but he also had 0 assists in that game to go with just 3 rebounds.
Earlier in that same season, Gordon Hayward had a big scoring night against the Nuggets. 34 points, but he had just 1 assist and 4 rebounds.
Jeff Hornacek had a big night against the Nuggets in 1994. He was 12 of 16 from the field for 35 points. Didn't even make a three-pointer. He did dish out 4 assists, but he had 0 rebounds.
And on November 28, 1992, Jeff Malone made 16 of his 21 shots en route to a 40-point night against the Rockets. He connected on just 2 assists, though, and pulled down just 1 rebound. And Jimmy Butler getting involved in some drama? No. Are you kidding? That's never happened. Great clips are next.
Great clips of the week.
As he's going to the basket. I'm not sure that's an overreaction. To me, that's an overreaction.
Jimmy Butler involved in some on-court drama? Are we surprised? And he even talked some trash with T.J. Warren after the game.
To me, I think it's tough for him because I can guard him and he can't guard me. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. But like I said, I think you just got to watch your mouth in certain situations. There's some that you just don't say as a man.
Not supposed to say that on TV either. Hey, how about Chris Paul getting nasty against his former team with the nutmeg and takes it in for 2. He got the win, too.
He's still playing at a high level. Duke's Cassius Stanley. We need to see this again. Another angle. Throwing it down. These college kids, man. Cassius Stanley's a good one.
Hey, this is from Monday night. Nuggets at the Hawks. Trae Young. Oh, my. Fakes out Michael Porter Jr.
Welcome to the NBA, Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, no kidding. Hawks lost the game, though.
Of course they did. They stink. Yes, he does. Wasatch Academy's Leonardo Colomero. This is a high school kid?
Gee.
Wow. Got to get down to Mount Pleasant and check that team out. This team is good. All right, you know how great the Jazz are on the court, but one surprise the last couple of years is how great their acting chops are off the court, right?
I love it. Yeah, the Jazz stars have appeared in a number of commercials for Vivint, and earlier this week they released the latest edition.
What is up? My name is Donovan Venner Mitchell Jr. Speaking of handsome, you know who's handsome? That tall, beautiful Frenchman, Rudy Gobert. I wish I had style like him. Isn't complete control nice? That's why I love my very smart home app. I can control my lights, locks, cameras, and a few other things. J'aime les chats.
Vivint Smart Home. You should get one, whoever you are.
They got the cat in there. Nice touch. Jared Allen of the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, my gosh. That was one of the best dunks of the year. And he did another one later in the game. The Jazz are going to have to face him on Tuesday night.
It's got to be the hair. Terrell Brantley. Yeah, he can get up, too, with the Stars. The nasty jam last night. I want the Jazz to keep winning, but it would be kind of fun to see him in a Jazz uniform.
I'm really excited about Terrell Brantley, and I can't wait to see him play for the Jazz, too. All right, Friday night high school basketball. Jordan's Dyson Kohler hits the deck. Harriman's Mawala Wall offers his helping hand. Not accepted, so Wall doesn't leave himself hanging. He's going to take care of himself.
Nice.
Well done. All right, Utah basketball's Brooks King just found out that he's on scholarship. He's been at Utah for 3 years, and finally he gets the nod and a big hug from Coach K after that. That's cool. I love it. Anytime we get to see someone's hard work pay off and be awarded a scholarship, you love to see it.
Congrats, Brooks. That's great. On such a young team, too, to see one of the upperclassmen get that.
Absolutely. Well deserving. And we'll see if the Utes can get back on track this week at Arizona on Thursday.